Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Welcome to a brand new edition of Around the Hearn. It is Memorial Day, and I would be remiss if I did not start, as I record this, with a thank you to all the fine men and women over the years who have laid down their lives to protect everything that we hold dear, and I hope that folks remember about what Memorial Day is supposed to represent. Yeah, it's cookouts and hanging out, but too many people had to sacrifice for us to get to this point. So again, a big thank you to anyone who has ever passed away in the line of duty. Guest today, there's not really a good segue for me to do that, by the way. I just wanted to make sure that you understand kind of the bigness of Memorial Day and what it actually stands for. Big guest today, the current 23-year-old head coach of Danbury and the Ohio Northern University standout, Adam Scott. Shout out to his family, because I know that they are just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for this episode. A couple of burgers in them, and now ready to sit back and hear what the young man had to say about his first head coaching job, just a year removed from being a member of the Ohio Northern Polar Bears basketball team. And he's got a great story. He's also always been one of my favorite athletes to cover. And you'll hear, we'll talk a little bit about when he was at Wapakoneta, when he was at Ohio Northern, a little bit about what his philosophy is going to be as the head coach of the Lakers up there nearly in the middle of the lake, the long drive from Wapakoneta for his family, and so much more coming up. And also the future commissioner of the Midwest Athletic Conference in just outside of a month, and the head coach of the statebound Minster Softball team, and Robb Hemmelgarn. They were both nice enough to join us and talk about everything that they have going on. Some things to look at before we jump into those. If you look at Twitter, I still call it Twitter because I'm old. I refuse to say X. But at CG Football Alumni has a lot of things going on right now. Columbus Groves Football Alumni having a golf outing this Saturday at Springbrook Golf Club. I'm not allowed to go because I'm a terrible golfer. Just get kicked off the course. It's just a waste of money. But I hope that maybe one or two people might be able to sign up and go. It's going to be a great time. The Grove folks always do a good job of taking care of everything. Locally, it's the Locos, who start this weekend at home. They brought home a quartet of terrific high school players that I was lucky enough to get to call some of their games, and a pair of Defiance Bulldogs, Jaden Jerger and Braden Shaw. And then one of my all-time favorite set of players in Lincoln View's Dane Ebel and at Perry's Ryan Yinkst. I'm always happy to be able to see those boys doing well, getting to talk to them, and it also just happens to be the entire Yinkst family. It's really disgusting. Are just great athletes. Ryan's brother does big things running and on the track. And speaking of track, Josh Verhoff from Kalida, now at the University of Findlay, was a runner-up in the NCAA's 200-meter dash, an All-American. That's all they produce at Findlay. Mary Kelly Mulcahy ends up being the National Player of the Year. She and her sister, part of the team that bowed out in the national semifinals in the Division II chase. Oh, just happened to be that their teammate Gabby Woods took home the individual title. She made a birdie on her last hole. To do that, the Oilers just keep on winning. They win the GMAC President's Cup for the 5th time in the last 6 years. Can't stop, won't stop the Oilers. It's apparently black and orange all over. Speaking of that, Minster Softball 29-1, getting to their first state semifinal since 2014 when they finished second. Hannah Oldegis, an honorable mention All-Ohioan, Addie Inskeep, and Brooklyn Osterloh, who, by the way, is 26-1 on the mound. First team All-Ohioans. They'll be joined in Akron by the Bryan softball team as they battle Logan Elm on Friday at Firestone Stadium in Akron at 12:30. Baseball side of thing, Coldwater, regional semifinalist after beating Liberty Benton 12-3. It's kind of a game that went back and forth on Saturday. Nate Stidham had it on a K94 in Salina, and we were going back and forth because I was sitting in Bluffton getting ready to cover St. Mary's, and the game just kept on going. And then St. Mary's just kind of had to wait a couple extra minutes for me to get on the air because Coldwater went nuts in the 6th inning. Walk out with a 12-3 win. They will take on Marengo Highland on Thursday at 5 o'clock in Hamler. Friday, 5 o'clock against either Millbury Lake or Winford in the regional finals if they win. Weird thing is the baseball tournament next week in the state finals on Saturday and Sunday. Division 4 has got Lipsick and Riverdale on tap at 2 o'clock. In Elida, winner gets Montpelier or Fort Recovery. They are the 5 o'clock game. That'd be a big one, too, because Lipsick had to come back with a couple of wins and beat Lincoln View. There being no hit going into the 7th. Ended up coming back, getting 3 runs and a walk-off, and then just had a big game in the finals against Patrick Henry. Had a weird game where they had 7 runs in the 4th on either side of a rain delay that lasted 26 minutes. And it's almost as crazy as Fort Recovery. They're down 4-2. They come back and score 10 to beat Parkway. But Parkway left the bases loaded when they flew out in the 7th. Then you look at it. All right, ho-hum. You get a win, whatever. But you're beating Marion Local 11-3, and about 3 million people have seen the play that happened. A ball hit the center field that nobody covered. The center fielder ends up beating the runner home, and it tags him out. The reaction to it, though, has kind of been my favorite part about people who talk about how great the center fielder is, and it's a heck of a play by one guy. And then there's a lot of other people who kind of hate the defense that may or may not have been shown. So it's a very polarizing thing. Other D4 on the other side of the bracket down in Cincinnati. Russia will take on Northmore at 5 o'clock on Thursday. If they win, I think this could be an interesting matchup. Troy Christian, whom Russia beat in the basketball tournament in the districts or the regionals, I forget, is taking on Bradford. The Railroaders on the other side would love to get a chance to take on Russia again. That's the 5 o'clock game on Friday, the winner of those 2 games. Like I said, state finals next weekend. Division II had St. Mary's make a run as the 8th seed. Unfortunately, ran into a buzzsaw. Gave up 5 in the first inning and lost 11-1 to Clear Fork. They now will take on Padua Franciscan in their next game. And if they win, they could potentially get Napoleon. Napoleon beat Defiance. Maybe a little bit of a shock to some folks. Collegiate baseball, BGSU. Got to see them in the Battle of I-75 at the field for the Mud Hens and won that night. Regular season MAC title, but they lost in the semis. Ended up being won by Western Michigan and did not get a bid in the NCAA tournament. Western Michigan got one. As the winner of the MAC tournament, they get to go to Lexington to take on the number 2 national seed, the second best team in the country in the University of Kentucky. So there's that. State track on tap. Columbus Grove's 4x100 and their 4x200 team. Allison Thompson, Kendall Paltzy, Lauren Ochmoody, and Jade Rader all combined to set 2 school records on Saturday on their way to state. Ryland Jones, a school record of the 300-meter hurdles for Allen East. OG boys, they'll be down there as well. Finished 3rd at regionals. Girls again, regional champs. Records, 4x800. Corinne Clausen, Liana Foreman, Madeline Hovis, Anna Buttelmeyer all broke the record set last year in the 4x800 for the school. Boys relay team, the first in school history. They run a 7:58 and change to run the 800 in under 8 minutes. Mason Vogt, Ethan Metzger, Isaac Mackey, and Ty Rosengarten. Congratulations to them. And then just because, Laney Hendricks, Savannah Recker, Livy Grotehouse, and Avery Fox all decided, we're going to break more records. The 4x800 was broke from a year ago. 4x200 took 11 years. But they're all heading to the state tournament. A lot of qualifiers on the board. Division III, Luke Stauffer from Wayne Trace, Jack Woods and Will Frimmel from Paulding and Minster, Travis Brooks of Riverside, Charlie Schmeezing from Minster, all state qualifiers, along with Akius Richardson from Shawnee. In Division I, girls long jump, we'll have Alex Kesson from St. John's, Izzy Zahn from Coldwater, Morgan Balmer from St. Henry, Mara Pearson from Fort Recovery, Allie Schindler from Ayersville, Hazel Francis from Russia, and Addison Lee from Tenora representing D3 in the long jump. Boys high jump qualifiers, Arlington's Calvin Willow, Owen Ackerman of Tenora, Trey Sparks from Fairlawn, Caleb Larson of Paulding, Drew Boggs from St. John's, and Preston Rutschilling from New Knoxville. All state high jump qualifiers in D3. They will go on Thursday. The WBL duo of Heaven Dalton of Defiance and Brennan Ryan from Bath will go on Friday. This is going to take a second because we are blessed to have so many great track and field athletes. Discus state qualifiers, Amelia Earle from Houston, Hayden Neidhart from Hicksville, Easton Weimer from Van Buren, Jana Metz from Botkins. Then in Division 2, those are all D3. Kelsey Snap and Alexis Robinson of Bellefontaine as well. Pole vault. Lauren Moody from Columbus Grove, along with Katie McFarland of Sidney Lehman, Anna Schmidtmeyer from Coldwater, Emily Earle from Houston, and Sophie Bajwa from Botkins all make the state level in Division 3. Tegan Rupp-Wasion, Safone Koenig from Liberty Benton, and Ellie Stahman from Versailles, set to go Friday at 9 a.m. in D2. Shot put, Emily Earle from Houston going again 3 different times. Julian Gare from Fort Loramie, Courtney Sutter from Van Buren, Hayden Neidhart from Hicksville in D3 shot put qualifiers with Division 2 Bellefontaine's Kelsey Snap. Long jump on the boys' side. Thursday it'll be Braxton Althauser from Macomb, Owen Ackerman from Tenora, John Keller from Minster, Jared Harding from Crestview, Quest Clay of Indian Lake in Division 2, and Avion Miles from Findlay, representing Division 1 in our area. High jump state qualifiers, Daria Lee from Sidney Lehman, Janelle Siegel from Fort Loramie, Emerson Gherkin from Liberty Center, Adriana Kramer from Minster, Victoria Mesher from Loramie, and Olivia Combs from Riverdale, all on D3 on Thursday. And then Findlay's Olivia Gayhart on Saturday. Finally, discus state qualifiers, Charlie Schmiedzing from Minster, Jack Kanapke from Marion Local, headed to Ohio State, by the way. Leland Bolin from Versailles, Landon Foltz from Wayne Trace, Grant Inbody from Riverdale, Colton Plyman from Botkins. Thursday at 3 o'clock in the D3 boys discus, Tyler Groves from Liberty Benton, Hayden Mans from Bellefontaine in Division 2 on Friday at 10, and Saturday, Salinas Caden Merlin, Grant Inbody from Riverdale, and Botkins, Colton Plyman. We'll all throw a big congratulations to all of those young men and women for what they have accomplished this season and what they hopefully will bring back to Northwest Ohio this weekend. Coming up here in just a few, we'll talk basketball and softball in the MAC and all of that coming back here on Around the Hearn. If you're looking for an award-winning service and parts department with a distinguished history in the community, look no further than Lee Kinsel Sales and Service at 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert. Are you seeking a new Chevy, Buick, or GMC, or pre-owned vehicle? Then be sure to check out our website at leekinsel.com or drive over today to Van Wert and see why we guarantee the best service after the sale you can find. That's Lee Kinsel Sales and Service at 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert, Ohio, or online at leekinsel.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Almost the month of June and a busy month coming up for Robb Hemmelgarn. He's got this little thing where he's going to be the commissioner of the MAC starting in July, but he's got this big thing coming up this week where his team will play in the Division 4 state semifinals and hopefully the finals. This is just kind of an awesome time to be you, I would think. A little stressful, but overall an awesome time.
It's a great kind of stress. I mean, it's not – it's just a lot to do. It's not real difficult stuff at this point, but on top of the extra stuff this week, as well as setting practice plans and times and arranging buses and all that good stuff. It definitely keeps me busy right now.
You've also got that little crazy thing of graduation being today.
Yeah. Yep. We got 5 seniors. They're graduating and they have their parties at various times throughout the next week. So I'm proud of those 5 seniors, and they've been out of school now for over a week, but now it's official. They're graduates.
Does that mean you can only tell them certain things? Does that mean you can't threaten them with, more homework or detention or anything like that?
Exactly. They're a pretty good group, though, so it hopefully would never have to come to that. But I tell them, though, we still got you for one more week with us, so we're grateful for that.
You've had this group in terms of playing games for about 2.5 months now when you kind of got ready in March, and you go back and all the practices before that. But what has this run really taught you about this group of you have just that one loss? I mean, you guys have had a tremendous season. You roll through the MAC in terms of winning every game. What have you learned about this group?
Just resiliency. It hasn't been an easy road. Fortunately, we've come out on the right end of the scoreboard most of the time, but there's a lot of ups and downs in games and between games, and we'd go stretches where we're playing 6 or 7 games in 5 or 6 days, and then we've had 3 stretches where we have 6 days off before we play again. So that can be, over 2.5 months isn't a long period of time, but sometimes those breaks, they can wear on you. So we got to get creative with practices and creative with keeping them engaged, and all the distractions now this time of year with the graduations and the finals and all the spring fever, they get the itch for summer and all that. It's like we got to keep our focus on number one, and those girls, the resiliency they've shown in doing that has been amazing.
Your regional run, I mean, you knew that if you get past Perry, you guys eventually end up doing that. You're going to see teams they're sort of familiar with and being in the area of Tri-Village or either Fort Loramie. You beat Tri-Village in that just terrific game. I mean, that regional tournament had to have taken a little bit of time off of your life, I would imagine.
It did 100%. Both those games were, and it started with the tournament with Perry and LCC. We took care of business there, and then we get New Bremen in the district final. And, no matter what the records are, it's still New Bremen. It's the big rival for us. They have a great pitcher and staff. We knew that was going to be a challenge. And then we get to regional, and we weren't real familiar with Perry, Fayetteville Perry, but, they put up a battle. And we told the girls after districts, each game is going to get a little bit tougher. We're going to have to find creative ways to win and keep the positive going, so to speak.
A lot of coaches have told me different things about this, but with those back-to-back games, you guys have Loramie and Tri-Village playing before you in the regionals. You play in the late game. Do you prefer one or the other to be first or second? Because I know that, Loramie, obviously a team you're a little more familiar with, Tri-Village as well, but of being able to scout them versus maybe being able to hone in on yourself, or is it harder to do it the other way around because you want to relax a little bit, but you don't want to be unprepared for the regional final?
Right. We've had it both ways in tournament over the last few years, and I prefer being the first game because we can get there whenever we need to. We can get set up. We can get familiar with the facility and sort of take our time going through that, which if we're the second team, we got the second game. Sometimes you got to wait for the dugout to clear out, or you get through your pregame and the game before you goes to extra innings, or it's just on a timing and routine mechanism. I like having the first game. And then if we take care of business in that game, kind of sit back and relax and watch that second game, or at least if it's in a different location, we send people to go watch it for us.
That's funny. I actually never even thought about it from that perspective of the first game being able to kind of have carte blanche for everything. But it's just funny how many things go into, the old thing is before the red light goes on of when things start of, we just have to get to that point. Now we got all these other crazy things to worry about just to be able to play the game.
Right. And that's how it has been through tournament here. It's like, okay, if we want to arrange, everything for state, especially the hotels, the busing, anything, it's like, okay, we have to kind of do that 2 or 3 weeks out or start thinking about it, but you don't want to sit, but it's always followed by, this is what we're going to do. If we win, and that gets a psychological game too. It's like you plan to win, you expect to win, but then you have to do things, that in that case, but you don't want to look like you're looking too far ahead either. And our girls have done great at knowing what our goals are, but being focused on the next game, the next pitch, the next inning, the next practice, whatever it is, just living in that moment.
Well, it's funny that you say it that way because from a broadcasting perspective, I have to look at a tournament as a whole and go, okay, if all of these things happen, we have to be in this location at this time, this day, whatever. And coaches always say, oh, you're doing too much. But I'm glad that at least one of you, because you've had a media background, kind of understand, okay, I have to prep for, in your view, best case scenario, but in mine, worst case of all of these things happen at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when the tournament brackets first came out, you look ahead, okay, here's the week of district tournament, here's the week of regional, here's the week of state. Well, the week of regional is right in the middle of finals week. And, if we have that 2:00 game, I got to get a hold of school 3 weeks in advance. And, hey, we could be in the middle of finals week, or can we make adjustments with the girls' final schedules? With you don't like doing that because it's like, I don't like that feeling of looking that far ahead, but you can't do any of that stuff last minute either.
I said 26-1 because that's what I got off the MAC website. You'll have to deal with that in about a month. But 29-1, first regional title since 14. At this point in the season, do you or does the team feel like they've played 30 games? Because I know that that's a lot to kind of jam into a month and a half, where sometimes that kind of wears on you.
I think physically and mentally, we're in a great place. It's just like, one game after another. It's when you get that week break, and then you look back, and I think back to, the Lincoln View game early in the season, or Saline or Elida. I'm like, man, that seemed like an eternity ago. But it was 2.5 months, but parts of it seem like it's a long time ago when you really look at it, and then other parts you feel like, man, the season's just flown by, and here we are already.
All Ohio comes out. You guys have to wait a week to put that out. But I want to start kind of first with your pitching staff. I mean, Brooklyn has done a terrific job. Michaela's done a great job. Rylan, with all those girls being named All Ohio, and then to have Hannah returning back there and what she's done. I mean, you have a group that just really seems like, yes, the accolades are nice, but the one accolade that they want is that big gold trophy.
Yep. And that's, every good team kind of looks at it that way. That's not anything new, that you're more concerned with the team over the player. But I think it's a really good thing that, with those awards that come out, just kind of the respect they've gotten from other coaches who vote for them, and the respect our program has built itself to, the name recognition. And, that's still something to be proud of. That I know it's an individual accomplishment, but it's also a reflection on what you've earned over the course of your career.
Hannah's a Division IV All-Ohio honorable mention pick. Addie's a first-teamer. Brooklyn, who's having just a tremendous year as a first-teamer. But, 21-1, does it go more to her, the way that she is, kind of how she operates, of the 21 or the 1?
The 21 more. She, the 1 honor, we were in Lincoln View. It was one of the first 3 games of the year, 4 games of the year. It sleeted at one point. It rained a little bit. The sun was out a little bit. The wind was tremendous going from foul pole to foul pole. It was just one of those miserable nights. We led, then we lost the lead, then we regained the lead, then we lost it again in the end. And that was more of battling the elements and being like third game of the year. She knew that it's not favorable conditions to play in. Things are only going to get better, and she's going one game at a time. So it's been about the 21-4 and just building each game on what you learned the last game.
Well, with that being early in the season and being game 4, a lot of teams will talk about make or break points throughout the course of the season, and a lot of teams will talk about losses. That kind of withstanding, was there a point outside of that one where you guys maybe hit where you said, okay, I feel like we're probably going to be a pretty good team because we've gotten through these things already?
There was a week, and it was, after that loss, we huddled up at the end of the game, and I said, hey, we're going to see that team again. I want to see Lincoln View again. We want to play. And all the girls are like, yep, we want another shot. And we both keep winning in tournament. I'm like, okay, boy, not looking ahead here, but if we do get that shot, it's going to be in the state championship game. So that would have been pretty prophetic at that point. But, there was a point right after that. We had a week coming up that was Versailles on the road, somebody else on the road. Then we hosted our alumni classic, and it was going to be a brutal week. And I said, we just got to get through one day at a time, one game at a time. And that's historically been the point in the year that we sort of peak. And then the last, not a good time to peak, right at the end of April there. We blew through that really well, played really well those games, and it kept getting better. And then the season ended, we had 3 MAC road games at New Bremen, at Coldwater, at St. Henry. So this is going to be a challenging week, mentally, physically. And they went through that, and I'm like, hey, things are going pretty good right now.
You ever just look at the weather report when you have a big game and just cringe of why? Why is this happening?
All season long. There was one week that it was rain Monday through Sunday. It was cold, and it's like, here we go again. Are we ever going to get a break? And we've gotten that now, but we're fortunate in Minster. Our park is is owned by the village and the workers there. At tournament draw, I think we had 22, 23 games in. There were some in the draw that only had 14. And now we've played on some pretty crappy days where it was like, I'd rather be sitting somewhere watching TV than out playing right now. But, if it's dry, or my theory has always been, if it's dry, we're going to play ball. Wind, rain, cold. We had a lot of teams cancel on us this year, games at our place that we said, hey, we're dry, we can play. And nope, we're not coming. It's like, all right, well, then you continue to build what you're doing there. We're going to continue looking for games and building what we have here. And I think the girls have kind of taken that attitude too of we'll play through anything. And it worked out for us this year.
One of your big things with this team and the reason why you're playing in the state semifinals has been your emphasis on having quality at-bats. When you go into Franklin with kind of maybe how you think they might approach you, have you had to maybe double down on that with the girls of, okay, we have to make sure every at-bat is of a high quality, or are you kind of at the point now where I don't really have to say anything to them?
You don't have to say too much. They do take a lot of pride in their quality at-bats. I mean, kids are kids. They'd rather get a double off the back of the wall than get on base with a walk. But to me, you're on base. If it's a walk or if it's a base hit, you're still on base. And, if they're basing it off their batting averages, if they're basing their own success off batting averages and off getting base hits, you're gonna fail a lot. But if you can move runners over and you still get out, or if you draw a walk, or whatever, a sacrifice fly that scores a run, take pride in that too, because it's a good at bat. And at this point in the year, it becomes pitch by pitch. It becomes making adjustments between pitches, between at bats, and they've done a really good job of doing that.
I know that there's a Twitter recognition at your Twitter at Minster Softball for the girls when they are the queen of the quality at bats that week, but have you thought about maybe like a little crown or a scepter or something for them?
These girls this year are crown wearing pageant type of girls. I'll tell you that. And I might get overthrown if I put a crown on their head on those pictures.
I mean, you can just offer it to them, right? You'd be like, you'll only put this out if you have a really good week.
Maybe at the end of the season when we have it for the overall, we'll be like, all right, now you got to wear the crown. So,
right.
And what's been cool with the quality at bat queen is we've had a couple double winners, but it's been somebody different every week. So somebody different is making those adjustments, and they're just all pulling their own weight and doing what they need to do.
Well, you've got a big week coming up, and with the hopefully 2 games in Akron. But in about a month, it'll be almost exactly a month after the state title game this weekend, you become the head honcho in the MAC. Is that – I know you've done a lot throughout the winter with a lot of the things going on, but has it set in yet? I mean, you are focused on softball, but, hey, in a month, I'm now going to be the head of this entire league.
Yeah, it's surreal. When I was named that, a few months ago, I, said on day one, it's an honor to be a part of the best, just to be a coach in the best conference in the state or in the country even, it is really cool. And now to be able to, help build the conference, continue what Don started, and build up different things in different ways. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, and I am really looking forward to that. And kind of told myself after this week, I'm going to give my brain a break for about a week, and then we're going to make the best conference around, start taking the steps to make it even better.
Gary Raspberry has a really nice article about you in the Daily Standard when you took the job, and one of the things that you talked about with him was about relationships and how much being a commissioner, yeah, you're the PR guy, you're the fixer, you're all of these things, but you're kind of a sounding board for a lot of people. And how much has it helped you? I mean, you start as a reporter, I kind of alluded to that earlier, and then you go into being a coach and being a head coach of just kind of working with a lot of these same people to understand maybe what's going on from their perspective a little bit better, because you've not only been them, you've kind of covered being them.
Yeah, and that's really what kind of got my feet wet is working for the newspaper and getting to know these coaches. And people ask what makes the MAC so special. How does Marion Local win 100 state titles in a row? How does Minster girls track? How do these dynasties from these small schools? And the answer is it's about the people and the coaches in this conference. They're the best there is. They may not win state every year. They may not be your district or state coach of the year every year, but they're all very good individuals, great coaches. And that's what does it. And each team kind of feeds off one another, and each school feeds off each other. And, it's one of those things that, if from a softball perspective, if we didn't have the great coaches around the conference, for me personally, help make me a better coach. Cause I'm like, if I don't do my job, these guys are, and we make each other better, whether we know that or not, and great individuals, and they're going to be a lot of fun to work with.
I was told it was because of the MAC recruits. That's what everybody always says to me.
Yeah, the same last names and the same parents every year after year for generations. There ain't a lot.
I said, I don't think you understand that. A couple of counties and like 5 last names. I don't think that works how you think it does.
Right.
Just 50 years, 5 guys have held this position. It's crazy. I wish you the best, though, to be better than Phil Schumann.
I don't know if that's
I will
possible. Tell
him I said that.
Any lifetime, I don't know that that's possible. But no, we've had some great, and I was around reporting when Phil was still around, and Tim Busher and Don, obviously, and I didn't really know Johnny Seidenbender, but he was kind of a pioneer with girl sports and with the awards and with record keeping and stuff. And 4 great individuals in front of me that hopefully I can keep that tradition going.
God willing, you guys are state champs in a couple of days. When you take that job next month, how many days from July the 1st do you think it will be before you get accused of some kind of nepotism or something for the Minster softball program? Like 2?
Oh, I don't. Probably next spring when maybe the schedules come out or the umpires. That's why I have somebody else do umpires and have somebody else do the scheduling in that regard. Because, and that was actually, that's a great question, because one of the interview questions was, if you get this job, are you going to step down from coaching? And the time's right. It's right. And I said, yeah, that's going to be the plan. And, I think that, I told him, I said, yeah, I'm from Minster. I've coached here a long time, but the MAC is 10 schools, and I'm representing 10 schools. And I'm sure the first time I go to a Minster game, be like, oh, you weren't at this game and this game this week. How's because whatever. Right? But no, it's gonna be one conference, and I'm gonna represent all the schools to the best of my ability.
Well, this weekend and beyond, I wish you all the luck in the world, and I hope you guys get that big state title, and I hope you get a big office chair somewhere.
We'll see what we can do. I'll just take the recliner in the living room for now.
Well, hey, as long as it's comfortable and you can make Minster decisions from there.
That sounds good.
Thank you so much for doing this, and again, good luck this weekend.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, and we'll do our best.
That's Robb Hemmelgarn talking all things MAC and the Minster softball program. We've got some more coming your way in just a couple of minutes.
Are you ready for an adventure? Experience the Midwest's only drive-through safari park located in Port Clinton, Ohio. Go to www.africansafariwildlifepark.com for more information.
One of my all-time favorite polar bears to get to cover, and a pretty good high school player, I'm told, as well. I don't like to admit that I'm old enough that I covered him when he was in high school, but now the 23-year-old first-year head coach of the Danbury Lakers basketball team, Adam Scott, I recently learned that you're not one of the brothers from One Tree Hill, though. So that's the one thing you've got going against you.
I am not. That's actually funny you say that, because people always ask me if I've watched it, and my answer every time is no, I've never watched it. So I really don't even understand what it's about, to be honest.
It's about 2 brothers who play basketball. I don't know. But my wife loves that show, so I wanted to work that joke in. It's very possible that I may have used that when you were starring at Northern too. So I just am straight up apologizing for, just being on
And
the nose.
I believe it. You always had some good. I always love listening to you. You always talked about my shoes last year and the different colors they were, and the camera would zoom right in. I'm like, there we go.
I was always proud when they would find it. Anytime that they would find your shoes at the free throw line, I was always proud because for people who didn't hear the stupidity of what I was saying, he would always be at the line and he'd always have shoes on that I was jealous that there's no way that I'm even remotely in the neighborhood of being cool enough to pull off. And that was always the running gag.
Yeah, it was nice. You always got the shoes, some camera time, but I really do appreciate you having me on here. Super excited to kind of talk about some of the things that, I believe in and some of the things that I live by here and what we're doing with our basketball program here at Danbury. So I appreciate it.
It's crazy that just over a month ago, you got named as a head coach. You just finished your second day of summer workouts yesterday. You jump in and you don't know any better to go to the shallow end and just sort of wade your way in. With all of what Danbury has been doing the last year, they've upgraded their facilities. They redid the gym. They bring you in. You're a young guy. That's been mentioned in every newspaper article that I read. But how do you feel it's gone through your first month?
I think it's, a lot of people have asked, and I think it's just been amazing. I got my, pretty much my whole coaching staff filled in a week and a half after I got hired, which, to me, I feel like it's a big deal because now it is hard. I mean, it's hard to find people that are willing to take time out of their lives and, really invest into a program. And so to have guys come to me and want to be on the staff that I wanted, that's an honor. So to have that, filled in a week and a half and then just getting to work with the kids and getting them to buy into what we want to do and kind of the standard and how we want to do things. It's been amazing, but I'm just blessed because I have such good kids there. All the kids want to buy in, all the kids want to be in the gym, all the kids want to be great. I'm not having to beg any kids. I'm not having to, have any none of that stuff. So it just makes it so much easier for a young guy like me to come in and just have such a great group of kids. And not only that, but Danbury's fantastic. As you mentioned, right now they're building a brand new athletic complex that'll be done by the fall. They're redoing a lot of stuff inside the school. The actual gym got a lot of upkeeping and a brand new actual court in there. So it's just a great place to be a part of. And the first month has gone, just like I expected. To be honest, I was hoping it would go really, really well, and it's been really well. So great kids and a great staff really make that easy for me, though.
Now, I know a lot of that right now is kind of an introduction stuff because of summer limits, and you've got kids playing baseball and AAU and kind of all of those things. But how much are you able to kind of do right now? You can't really install anything because you don't know your JV guys coming back. You've got a terrific scorer in Tyler Harris, who will be a senior next year. But is it a lot of it just kind of learning those kids and kind of learning kind of how they are and maybe what they'll be come winter time?
No, totally. So for us, like every program, right now we're doing skill work, in groups of 4, and then we're doing lifting, and then we're doing open gyms. And, the skill work, when we divide up into groups of 4, each group we divide up in, I usually start off, everything with kind of just a message. I got a 45-minute drive from my house to Danbury every day. So when I make that drive, I really think about, what I've been through and stuff I want to preach and teach to these kids. So I always start off, with a message to the kids when we break up in these groups of 4 and really just get them thinking before we begin that workout. And then we go through the workout, and then I always end with a question of the day. And that question of the day, I make every kid answer it. I make every kid, just speak and kind of say it with their chest almost. Some kids have never really had a coach that maybe has allowed them to speak up and talk. So for me, any kids from freshman to senior, they're all going to stand up. They're all going to speak in front of their teammate, and they're going to answer the question of the day and, get comfortable with being a leader. And, I haven't been able to do a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing that I've done, is I preach kind of what we're going to be about and how we're going to operate as a basketball program, on and off the court. Because I think I use it all the time, but you can't stack the bricks of a house until you lay the foundation. And we have to lay the foundation of our program, and that's the Danbury standard, and that's staying the path and just getting better every single day. So that's what I've established from the day I got hired until I'm sitting here right now doing this interview, is that like we have to lay the foundation of this program before I can get into any X's and O's, before I can install any offensive, defensive schemes. You know, it's about building that foundation, getting these kids to believe and getting these kids to buy in. And, you know, I think it's gone really, really well. And I think the kids have really kind of adapted to the new culture that we're establishing there. And it's been fun.
Danbury's athletic director, Joe Miller, is quoted as saying that you understand these guys because you're not that far away from their age. You're replacing Keith Diebler, who 5 decades as a coach probably did things a little bit different. You talked about it with being able to speak up, being an underclassman. But when you look at the program, because I know you've done your homework, how much do you maybe intend on, all right, I'm going to put my stamp on this. We're going to change, let's say, our fast break, or we're going to change maybe how we do different things once you get into the point where you install what you believe your stamp will be?
Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, the X's and O's stuff and, you know, the half-court offense, half-court defense, you know, all that stuff, I think a lot of it just comes kind of off your personnel. You know, seeing what you got, seeing what size you have, seeing what speed you have, and then, you know, kind of adapting to that. You know, my coach, my senior year at ONU, Coach Young, you know, I'd always ask him, like, what is your defensive philosophy? And he goes, you know, to be honest, like, it changes every game because it goes, you know, it goes by who we're playing. Like, are they big? Are they small? Are they quick? You know, like, so for me, a lot of the X's and O's stuff, and to go back to your point, just kind of comes off, you know, our personnel, and especially defensively. Like, if we're playing a team that maybe doesn't shoot the ball well, you know, maybe we run some more zone. You know, if they penetrate to the cup well, we're going to run maybe a little more zone and make them shoot the ball. So, you know, for me, I have, you know, a base offense that I really believe in that we're going to run. And I really, you know, believe that it works if we buy in. And then defensively, I really believe in some stuff I want to do as well. But I think a lot of stuff goes off, you know, what you see on film from the team you're playing and kind of adapting to that. You know, I know we have a Danbury. I know what our strengths are and I know what our weaknesses are. But when it comes to our opponents, it just all comes down to that week of film preparation and kind of adapting to what they do offensively and defensively. And that's how we adapt to what we do. So that's kind of how I go about, you know, the X's and O's and offensively, defensively, fast break, you know, all that good stuff is kind of, you know, off personnel and who we're playing.
I know that you've spent a lot of times picking the brains or maybe annoying other coaches like Neil or like Rich Bensman or Gibsonburg's coach. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that it's well documented that you're probably at them a lot. But it impresses me during your answer that you see that, all right, let's say we're a man team. We're going to stay in man, you know, till the day we die. That's the sword of being able to step outside of that. Because I've seen a lot of teams over the years that are terrific teams, but maybe when they get down, they get stuck in a zone or they get stuck in a rut of, no, we're going down with this ship. This is what we do. Of you being able to see it playing basketball, 3-year starter in college, of no, we want to win. I don't care what we have to do to get to the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You see it a lot, you know, I don't know what it is, but you know, you got to adapt to how the game's playing out. And, you know, there's a lot of teams that stay in something or they do this and that, and they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And it's like, you can't keep doing the same exact things and expect like different results. So if you're getting destroyed,
something about
zone,
insanity, I think, is how that goes.
Yeah, that is how that quote goes. You know, so it's like, you know, if you're going to run a zone and you're getting killed in that zone, okay, you know, 1 or 2 threes, sure. But if you're just getting destroyed every time down on rebounding and outside shots, like you got to make an adjustment. And I think sometimes as a coach, you know, that's where maybe it comes to just maybe putting your ego to the side a little bit and trying something different. You know, just because it works one game and it doesn't work the next, like you got to switch and adapt to how the game is playing out and how the other team's personnel is. And, you know, that's something that I believe in. And I saw it firsthand is, you know, coming out of halftime, go run a 2-3 zone, you've been man all game. You put a wrench in it, you know, the team's not expecting a zone. So just being able to switch things up on the fly and adapt to how the game is going is huge. And I think being able to play at the college level and see that and the high school level it helps me out a lot to kind of see when to maybe switch your defensive schemes during a game or go zone or go man or run this quick hitter offensively. So, that's just something that I really feel like I, want to have a good eye for and balance how the game's being played to adjust what I call.
I talked about a little bit about your hiring process. There's 6 different guys as a part of that, but your athletic director made a comment about, and I kind of backhandedly poorly referenced it a little bit ago, about your ability to interact with young people because you're roughly the same age. I have never seen, or maybe I just don't know enough about this process, that the second stage I read in the Sandusky Register about your interview process was actually with the kids, them in your interview. How did that go for you?
I loved it. So the first interview, the day Keith, our coach Diebler, retired, I actually applied the next day. My girlfriend's stepmom works there at the school, and she's like, "Hey, here's the athletic director's email. I know you want to coach. Like, here it is." I'm like, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go all in. Like, I'm ready to do it. So sent in my cover letter and my resume, and then when the day came, he sent me an email. He's like, "Hey, we want to interview you." He's like, "We really like what we see." So I went in for the first interview. Joe, the athletic director, he's incredible. He took me around the school. He showed me around the new athletic facility, what they're going to do different next school year. And I think for me, that helped a lot because it calmed my nerves a little bit, and it just got me comfortable with him and the school district and how things are operated there. Went into the first interview. I think there was 5 people in the interview committee that interviewed me. And, it was one of those interviews when I left Mike, I was like, man, I couldn't have done anything any better or any different. And it was like, if I don't get the job, it's not meant to be. And like, I believe in that, it's not meant to be if I don't get it. It wasn't one of those, if I don't get the job, they messed up. Like, no, it wasn't. It was, if I don't get the job, it's not meant to be. But, shoot, it went really well. And then Joe called me back and he's like, "Hey, we want you in the final 2. He's like, "Are you still interested?" I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." So went back and, I had a 15-minute speech in front of the kids. I got 15 minutes to kind of say what I wanted to say. And that's when I just kind of talked about laying the foundation for the bricks. I talked about our standard. I talked about the 6 pillars that I believe in and I live by. And I just, I really think that, like, I touched them really, really well, being close in age with them. I made eye contact the whole entire time. I wanted to see how engaged, like, the kids really were to what we were going to do. And once again, I left an interview and it was just like, I told my girlfriend, I was like, man, like, Allison, like, that couldn't have gone any better. I was like, those were both, like, they went incredible. If I don't get it, I don't get it. But I was like, we'll see what happens. Joe calls me 3 hours later that Sunday night, had it on speakerphone. My girlfriend was in the house. And he's like, "Hey, I want to give you the offer to be the head coach here at Danbury." He's like, I mean, it was just, watching me work with the kids was incredible. And I was like, wow. Like, my girlfriend was like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, kind of teared up. I'm like, let's do it. And I accepted the offer. And then, we just got the ball rolling. And I won't lie to you, man. It's surreal to me because obviously being 23, it's very, very young for a head coach, but it's still surreal a month in to know that, like, this is my program and, like, I get to lead, like, young men towards one common goal and get them ready for life outside of graduation. And, and that's something that I just don't take for granted. And it's surreal for sure. And it's a blessing, but that whole process and being here now, it's just, I can't be any more thankful to Joe and Danbury and my girlfriend, who was incredible, and my family. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
One of the guys who has given you a lot of advice is Salina's head coach. He was an assistant at Wapak, but he's a Rough Rider at heart, and Adam Johns. How much did that kind of, hey, wait a minute, I got to take this blue and gold guy's advice? Because I know, even though you being out 5 years, that rivalry still runs deep.
For sure. And yeah, Coach Johns is just incredible. And he's somebody that, when I was a freshman in high school, like, I thought he was, like, so awesome. And, like, I looked at his career when he played. I'm like, oh my gosh. I tell my dad, like, he won WNBA Player of the Year, Dad. Like, I loved Coach Johns. And then, I was that annoying little pesky kid. And then I grew up throughout high school, and that's when, like, we really started bonding. And, he told me my junior year, I was finally starting to get in the weight room, and my body was starting to grow, and I still, like, was kind of lazy. I didn't really realize my potential. And I remember he told me, I think it was like the second game of the year, he said, "You have, like, the potential to be so great." He's like, "You just got to realize it and believe it." And it was like that day that, like, my whole basketball career just flipped. And I tell that to these kids now at Danbury. I tell them every single time we are together, I say, look, I'm like, look up here, look me in the eyes. I was like, you guys have to believe, truly believe deep down inside, believe in yourself and believe in this program and what we are trying to do here. I said, I promise you the pieces are here. We can be great, but we have to believe. I say it every freaking day to these kids that you have to believe in yourself, believe in your potential, and believe in this program, because all it took for me was that one coach to tell me how great I could be and believe in me. And then my whole basketball career, I mean, just completely flipped. I mean, I went and dominated the weight room for my senior year of high school. I get college offers to play, have a pretty good senior year of high school. And I go on to play at ONU and have a pretty successful career. And I think it was all because one coach, told me how great I could be and how much potential I had, because he was able to relate to me because he was the same way in high school. And so I'm just forever indebted to Coach Johns. And when I was thinking about applying for this job, I was texting him every single day about interview tips and things to bring to the interviews and the stuff he runs and the stuff he believes in. And I was texting Coach Young, and just the coaching community is so cool because they were all willing to give me a helping hand and get me through the process and help me out and let me call him and let me talk to him and let me annoy him. But that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to learn from the people that have came before you and the people that are really freaking good at what they do. And that's what I've done. I've picked the brains of guys that are really, really good at what they do, like Mark Triplett, for example, at Shawnee. And they've just helped me out so much. But, I really think that Coach Johns put that belief into me. And that's what I want to do to these kids, is let these kids know, like, you guys have so much potential in you. You just got to realize it. So, that's the big thing at Danbury is belief. And that's something that creeps every day to the kids.
Your time at ONU, 74 games, 43 starts, 14 points a game. I loved your senior year watching the way that defense sort of worked between you and CJ Napier. It didn't really seem like you guys cared who scored, but I would watch you at times where it seemed like you guys were having some sort of internal competition of, oh, that's neat what you can do, but give me the ball, watch what I can do. Is that true?
That wasn't necessarily true, but I would say practices between CJ and I were very competitive. And, I think my sophomore year, I started as a 3 some, and CJ started at the 4. And then the next 2.5 years, we just kind of rode that out. And, me and CJ are both the same size, but I think the way that him and I played was so completely different from each other that it worked so well, and we were able to just play off each other so well. And, playing alongside him, he was the 4 and I was the 3, just playing alongside, an All-American type player who's so skilled at a lot of things. And then I feel like there's other things that I maybe do pretty well. And just us being able to almost play off each other, I think was, very beneficial. But at the end of the day, it was so, in practice, it was so freaking competitive. Me and him would guard each other every single practice for almost 3 years. And so to be able to guard each other and play off each other, like, there was competition there, I would say, for sure. But in games, I don't know if it was like that, but CJ was really good and, just very fundamental, just super skilled. Went on a Dayton last year as a walk-on and, just a great kid. And he's going to be, I think he wants to coach. I'm not sure, but he'll be a great coach if he does. But I think being able to play alongside a guy like that and work off each other, helped me out a lot as well.
You guys got to go to some pretty cool places and play. I mean, you went to Florida a handful of times. You went to New York, a little bit colder because, of course, you went in November. But how cool is it to be able to look at ONU right now and the way that the Polar Bears have continued to grow? And I know they've done this for a while in a lot of sports, but to see them now going internationally this week and that they're dominating a bunch of Italians.
Yeah, they are over in Italy, and that was Coach Young was asking me to play a 5th year. He's like, you can go to Italy if you play a 5th year. I'm like, at least another year paying for school. But no, they're incredible. And, Coach Young is fantastic. I mean, just Coach Young, Coach Troth, the whole staff, the whole university is fantastic. And I think what Coach Young is doing there, I'm telling you, in a year or two, like, Ohio Northern basketball is going to be on top of, like, the OAC. I mean, I really believe in it. They return pretty much everybody next year. And in my opinion, Coach Young, Neil Young, is the best coach in Division III college basketball, or one of the best. And, huge shout out to him, because I think he's the reason why at 23 years old I feel so confident in being a head coach and I feel so comfortable, is because just how he was as a family man and a coach and like a culture builder, relationship builder. Like, I won't lie, 80% of the things that he did at ONU, I took with me to Danbury. Just when it comes to getting kids to believe at one common goal, buying in for each other and working towards that goal. Like, the way he did that at ONU as a first-year coach was, like, incredible. And, like, I'm not afraid to admit, like, I've taken a lot of things that he did with me to Danbury when it comes to the leadership side of things and the relationship side of things. And, he had a team motto at ONU, and I have a team motto at Danbury. I have standards that we live by at Danbury. He had standards that we lived by at ONU. And, I just learned so much from him that I don't know if I never had him, I don't know if I'd be this comfortable right now being a head coach. So, I think he's going to take ONU to incredible heights. I think that university, I think those kids are so lucky to have him, because I stand by him being one of the best coaches in Division III college basketball for sure.
Well, it's funny. I don't know that he wants me to let this out of the bag, but a little bit of insight. One of my favorite coaches, because the first time I introduced myself to him, I had been talking to a young man from Capital that I covered in high school, and I inadvertently called Neil by the wrong name, and he was nice enough not to make me feel like an idiot about it. Now, later, he says that he didn't hear what I said, but I still apologized to him, and he laughed, and it kind of was it was a nice icebreaker. But recently, getting the fortunate position that I'm in to be able to cover ONU on a pretty fairly regular basis, he asked me for my address, and he wrote me a nice handwritten letter about thanking me for covering the team. Now, unfortunately, I never got to read it because the mail system, is the mail system, and they lost it. But that, to me, kind of encapsulated what kind of human being that he is, and maybe kind of how he sees things as an overall. And I think it's important for that program kind of to back in what you're saying of, because he sees those kids for more than just 10, 12 minutes a game, 20 shots, whatever. He sees them as human beings that he's helping kind of grow as young men.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And to me, it was so fascinating, because he came in as a first-year coach, and he came in right off the bat and just laid down, like, here's what the Ohio Northern basketball standard is. Here's what we're going to live up to. And, like, if you don't want to be a part of it, then don't be here, like, plain and simple. And guess what? Like, we had a ton of success my senior year. We didn't win as many games as we wanted to, but we were in every single game. We competed like hell in every game. And if we lost a game, like, it wasn't because we didn't go down without, like, bruises and, like, blood. Like, I mean, we competed every game because we were so bought in for Coach Young and his philosophies and the way he went about things. And I've just taken so much of that with me to Danbury, because I believe in it, and I saw it firsthand work. So it's not like I'm just pulling a cat out of the bag here. I believe in what he did. I believe in it. It worked, and I'm trying to bring that with me to obviously a different scale in high school. But, Coach Young's fantastic, and I owe a lot to that man.
I know it's a long time between now and then, but it's actually really not. How hype are you for the season to start in November and in early December of, yes, we have a ton of work to do to get to this point, but I can't wait to tip off, and then the first night you have that conference game, and then just kind of to be able to continue to go along with this team?
And I tell you, I'm ecstatic, and I tell these kids a lot, nothing that I say, how I act, what I do, like, none of it is fake. Like, if you're fake, your kids will see right through that. All the passion that I have out there is 1,000% who I am. All the energy I bring at our skill workouts, like, everything I do is 100% me, because I'm so passionate about life and basketball and building humans and just getting better every day, that, like, I can't help myself but just bring that energy. And I feel so wired sometimes, because I'm just so excited that I get to lead a program of young kids and turn them into adults and hopefully win some games, along that way. But, I'm really excited about obviously starting the season in November and December. But, our team motto is stay the path. And that means one day at a time. That means, in basketball terms, one possession at a time, one shot at a time, one workout at a time. And, never too high, never too low. So for me, it's helped with calming me down. And because I've taken on, I feel like a lot at this age, is stay the path. And, I tell that to the kids every day, stay the path, be the standard. And, stay in the path is one day at a time, one game at a time, one practice at a time. So, I'm right now, I'm where my feet are at. I'm right here on today, and tomorrow is tomorrow, Tuesday is Tuesday, and we just keep getting better every single day and stay that path. And, we keep doing that. When it comes time to December 2nd for our first game, we're going to be really ready to go because we've kept our eyes on today and on today's goal. So I am ecstatic for sure, but definitely just looking forward to every single day right now and getting 1% better.
You've got a lot of heavy hitters in the SBC, and especially as the way you go through in the River Division, should make for a fun first year, hopefully.
Yeah, the conference is stacked. A lot of really good coaches, a lot of really fast teams, a lot of teams that like to press, a lot of teams that made a tournament run. So it's exciting. Coach Young always said it at ONU, being in the OAC, one of probably the top Division III college basketball conference in the nation. He's like, I love it. He's like, I want to go out here and play the best teams in the state or the best teams in our conference. Why not? Go out and earn it. And not only that, but, playing in this conference where I'm at now and playing, in the OAC at ONU, those games, prepare you for life. Going in battle against some of the best teams in the state, those prepare you for life outside of basketball. The focus you have to bring, the attention to detail you have to bring, the intensity you have to bring, that builds a man out of you. And, at ONU, when we'd go to Mount Union or to Marietta or to John Carroll, to Capital, wherever it was, now looking back when I'm coaching, I bring that with me because those games, they teach you a lot about yourself and they teach you a lot about your team. So I'm excited to be in a conference this good because it's a hell of a challenge, but it's going to be fun. We got to bring our best every single day or we're not going to win games. So, it's not like other conferences where you can show up 50-50 and still come out with a win. So I love the challenge, and, it reminds me a lot of how it was in the OAC. You got to be on your best every single day, every single practice, every film session, or you're not going to win a game. So I love it.
Well, I can tell you that I know that you're going to do well because of your passion and your love, and I'm so happy we're able to do this. I'm so happy for you. I wish you all the best, and I'm really hoping that sometime it works out. You guys play somebody down here, and I get to do the game and kind of bring it full circle.
So Coach John was talking about that actually, but it's just, man, the bus rides are brutal. For my family to come to games, they're going to be driving almost 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2.5 hours to get to some home games at Danbury. But, if you know my family and how they are, they're going to show up in a beehive. So I don't doubt that, but, I really appreciate you having me on and, kind of being able to speak about, the stuff that I believe in and the stuff that I live by, because I always, I've told my kids and I've told my staff this from day one that, I believe in what I'm saying and I really do try and live by what I say. Discipline and accountability is one of our biggest pillars at Danbury. If I don't hold myself to some accountability and hold myself and have some discipline, how can I expect my kids and my players to have some discipline and accountability for themselves? That almost makes me like a hypocrite. So everything that I tell them to do, I try and do myself. If we're having a 6 a.m. lift, then guess what? I'm lifting at 5 a.m. So I want to do the things that they're doing. I want to be able to do it myself. I can't tell them to go out and watch, go out and work harder in the gym if I'm not watching more film. So I think one of the biggest things is I really try to live by and believe in what I say to these kids, because if not, man, at the end of the day, the kids are going to read right through you. And, I really try to believe in what I say. And I think the kids, understand that and they're really bought in to what we're trying to do at Danbury and the heights we're trying to take everything to. And we just got to continue to be the standard that we have and live by our pillars and stay the path. And, I think some really, really promising things are going to come to Danbury. So I'm excited and I love being able to get on podcasts like these and spread the word about who we are and how we're going to operate, who we're going to be, and spread, some positivity about just life in general. So I really do appreciate you having me on, Mike.
That is the new head coach of the Danbury Lakers, and Adam Scott. If you want to stay in tune with them, you can find them on Facebook. And we've got some more coming up in just a few. Hey, you! Are you struggling to stay awake in the morning? Do you just need a jump start to your day? Then you need to find some Revision Espresso coffee from the Robb Coffee Lab in Columbus Grove. Launched in April of 2019, Robb Coffee is fueled by a passion for outstanding coffee, held by the owner and head roaster in Aaron Bremer. No matter what type of coffee you're looking for, RobatoCoffeeLab.com has it. Can't make a choice? Check out their sample pack. Robb Coffee Lab in Columbus Grove. Made by locals who care about you and your coffee. Thank you so much for tuning in, getting ready to kick off the summer. Baseball this weekend. It's the track, softball, so much more before we get to Legion time and a lot of things going on as well. Get out and support your local athletes and make sure that they know that you heard about them here on this show. And congratulations to all the area kids for graduating. A lot of terrific seniors going out into the world to do big things in the last couple of days and in the next couple of days with their graduation. A big congratulations from me. And thank you so much for listening wherever you are, wherever you may be. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.
Here I go.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter @MichaelHearnPBP for more great area content.